بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد. The topic that we're going to cover today was to do with regarding the great war, which is called Al-Malhamatul Kubra. And I gave a small introduction last week or last time round, and then I'll go on towards this because we mentioned regarding the Dajjal, and we covered a few parts of Isa alayhi salam and Masih, and now I mentioned regarding parts of the Great War. So what is this Great War? And then we'll go on towards the Yajuj and Majuj after that, probably in the next few lessons, inshallah. So the Great War is obviously there will be many battles leading up to a massive kind of war. So what is these many battles? Is it just one battle? Is it one massive battle, or is it going to be many battles? Is there going to be lots of qital and lots of killing, lots of bloodshed? And there's many hadith that mention there's going to be Muslims against Muslims also as well. And then maybe it finishes off with Isa alayhi salam and Dajjal. So there's no real time frame for any of these kind of wars, but I'll mention a few of the hadith relating towards this. Tariq ibn Asakir mentions this, that Abdullah bin Hawala, we were with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he complained how poor we are. So we say to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam that we're kind of poor, we don't have enough clothes and food, we don't have this and we don't have that. So they're complaining to Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, rejoice, be happy, rejoice. Don't worry about this. I don't fear for my ummah, poverty. That poverty won't come to my ummah that much. They'll have a lot of riches. And they will be in continual good until Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opens up the lands of Faris, the lands of Rome, the Romans, and Himyar, which is Yemen. And what happens is you'll become 3 armies. He says that you, O Muslims, will become 3 armies. This is near the ending of time. And he goes, 1 army is from Sham, 1 army is from Iraq, and 1 army is from Yemen. So these are the 3 the 3 armies that will happen near the ending of times. And this is where you find the Malhama, or something close towards this, or it is this. So you have the Sham army, 1 is from Yemen, and 1 is from Iraq. And he goes, there will be wealth, which is so much wealth at that time, that 100 dinars, a person will get 100 dinars. This is nothing. For me, this is nothing. But back in the day, 1 dinar was a lot. But now 100 dinars is even more. But for them, it's nothing. Oh, this is 100 dinars. It's like pocket change for us. This is what? A time will come where this will happen. So the person asks that when this happens, when all of these armies come about, which army should I join? Which army should I go to? Which army should I believe in? So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, go to the army of Sham. Go to the army of the Syrian area and the whole area. Go to that army. And then goes, those are the chosen people. Because Qiyamah will take place in those plains, in those fields. So this is just a small part where there's 3 armies. 1 is Sham, 1 is Iraq, 1 is Yemen. So there's different armies, and it's amongst Muslims. Meaning we know that it's going to be Muslims against Muslims, but be part of a civil war. Ibn Majah mentioned this hadith. He mentioned 3 sons of Khalifas, princes, will fight over your treasures. None will be victorious. And this is where the black flags, an army with the black flags of, and they'll come from Khurasan and so forth. This will happen, and the hadith goes on. But what treasures are they talking about here? So lots of treasures. Is it? It could be anything. So what treasures are there in those lands of Sham, of Yemen, of Iraq? Some have mentioned, it's open to interpretation. So what kind of treasures? It could be actual money. It could be oil. It could be, it could be anything which is natural resources. It could be anything really. But there's certain things and people will be fighting over it. So even the Khalifas, the princes, they'll be fighting over this. Possibly it could be something is happening nowadays, possibly not. Allah knows best. And this is where the Mahdi will come, when Muslims are already infighting. So all the Muslims are infighting, 1 army versus another group. Muslims are fighting one another, and the Mahdi will come. And once the Mahdi will come, he will unify all of the Muslims underneath one banner, 1 leader, 1 flag. And he'll be the leader and the Emir of all of these Muslims at that time. This is where Mahdi will come and unite everyone. And this is going to be a very terrifying state of the Ummah, where everyone will be fighting one another, and then the Mahdi will come. Another hadith which mentions in Muslim, There's a Sahih Hadith mentions here that Kufa. So in Kufa, obviously that's in the lands of Iraq. You have Ibn Mas'ud. He was a very famous Sahabi, radiyallahu ta'ala an. And he mentions regarding that one tabi'i. So not a qawl of the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. It's not a hadith, but this is one tabi'i said this. But this is mentioned in a hadith. So one tabi'i said that there will be a blackened storm that will come. It's like a storm, but it's very black, it's very dark. It's very black and it's very dark, and that storm will come. And it happens is that it will blacken the sun, so much so that it will cover the whole horizon and the sun will be gone as well. So it's very terrifying, everyone will be scared. So Rasulullah sallallahu said, "Oh Ibn Mas'ud, Qiyamah," he will talk about regarding that one person in his time. So I'll just mention this. The Rasulullah has passed away. They gone to Kufa. Ibn Mas'ud is in Kufa, and one person is telling Ibn Mas'ud, "This is going to happen. That this is going. Oh Ibn Mas'ud, look what's happening outside. Qiyamah is coming. Qiyamah is coming." Why? Because he's seen there's like a smoke cloud and there's something covering the sky. So Ibn Mas'ud stood up because Qiyamah will not come until these signs are there. Qiyamah won't come until these signs. So he mentions here that people, number one, people won't be able to divide the inheritance. What does this mean? People won't even divide the inheritance. Listen to this. It's very relevant. Very relevant. People won't even divide the inheritance. Meaning there will be so much death in the family that there'll only be one person alive. So who are you going to distribute the family to? Or the wealth to? And now you look in Gaza. You look in Palestine. The other person's house being bombed. He's got no house. The person's family is killed. His mother, his father, his sons, everyone's killed. So if that person dies, who's going to leave the inheritance to? There's no inheritance to come. And then where is he going to go to? He can't go anywhere. So this is the prediction which has been mentioned. So Rasulullah has mentioned this from, so Ibn Mas'ud mentioned this from Rasulullah sallallahu saying that the signs won't come until inheritance can't even be given to the people because there's so much death. There's so much death. And this is what we're seeing nowadays as well. Number two, the second sign, he says that people won't be happy with ghanima. Meaning they got so much booty of war, so much ghanima, so much wealth from all of the battles, but they won't be happy with it. Why? Because their family has passed away. Who are they going to enjoy their riches with? Who are they going to enjoy their booty and their money with? You can't enjoy it with anyone else. Imagine you're a millionaire, billionaire, but you got no one to spend it with. So this is also one of the signs of Judgment Day. And number three says that he then points to the area of Syria. He points to the area of Sham, because an enemy will gather, and they will gather against the Muslims. All the forces will gather against the Muslims, and Muslims gather against them. So he points towards Sham area, Muslims against non-Muslims. So this person is asking Ibn Mas'ud, he goes, "Do you mean Rome? Do you mean the Romans? European, the Rome, what does Rome is? Rome is not just Romans, but Rome, there's no Romans anymore. But you can say there's the European nations. So the European nations, the Europeans, United Nations, you call them whatever you want to. But it's open to interpretation. It's all because there's no Romans. There's no. But a room was there. So he goes, "Do you mean a room?" So Ibn Mas'ud mentions, yes, a room. There's going to be severe fighting between the Muslims and the non-Muslims. A group of Muslims sent for battle will go there and they will not return back. Meaning they'll go in there and it's finished, they'll all die. Then they will fight until all the way until the night time. And neither will be victorious, nor the Romans nor the Muslims. And the second day will come and the Muslims will be sent into battle again. And what happens? They'll go there and they won't come back. They won't come back again. And neither will be victorious, nor the Romans nor the Muslims. The third day, same thing happens. Another troop all gets sent towards against the Romans, and all them fight all the way until the night time, and then they don't return. So the third day happens, and then the fourth day. When it comes to the fourth day, he mentions here that after 4 full days, then the Muslims will be victorious after this. This is Ibn Mas'ud mentioned this. He didn't get it from his own pocket. This is mentioned in Muslim, this narration. And this will be a battle, and the likes we have never ever seen before. This Ibn Mas'ud narrating to the people. Such a battle, so much so that a bird flies over them and will fall down dead. What does that mean? A bird flies over and they'll be just falling down dead. So that could mean many things. That could mean many things. Whether it's to do with the smoke of something and then it falls down. Whether it's to do with, I don't know, if you want to put a modern interpretation, whether it's to do with a nuclear war, whether it's to do with Allah Alam, a different type of things where now something's happening and now the birds go across and then they're just dying. So these are the times that are going to come up in the future, which can be very scary. And he mentions here that out of a family of 100, 99 will die and 1 will survive. That's how much of people will die in a certain battle. So how can you be happy over the ghanima and the booty of war when all of your family members are passed away? Then they will hear a bigger calamity than this. Someone will shout out, after this battle, someone will shout out that the Dajjal has come and he's where you left your families behind. You know your families back at home? He's come there. The Dajjal has now appeared over there. This is the rumor that has been sent to this army is there. So what happens? All of the people rush back towards their homes and they leave everything behind. And once they come back, then they realize that this is false. This is false, and this is something which is a false rumor. So they come back in, they say, oh, it's a false rumor, it's a false alarm, the Dajjal hasn't come. Once this false alarm and this false rumor, everyone knows it, this is when Dajjal will come out. This is when the Dajjal will come out. And he mentions here that 10 of the best of the horsemen will be sent to find out this rumor is true. I even know, so he mentions this, that I even know the horsemen's names and their forefathers and which type of horse it is. So much detail Rasulullah ﷺ given regarding this prediction. I know who the horses are, I know who the father, and I know who the rider is, and I know who this is, and I know who that is. So these are the people that we sent back. This is how true that we feel this hadith is, and this is talking about regarding this. So this is what we call the Armageddon. So the Armageddon is something which is Armageddon is more of a biblical kind of word, and this comes, and I'll mention where it stems from. But this is what we call Armageddon. Is it one major battle, or is it a series of battles in different places around the world, or a series of battles in one place and then it goes into a major battle? Is it this or is it that? And this is where we'll find out. It will become more clearer as the hadith go on. Muslim mentioned this hadith. Remember, a lot of the information I'm getting from is from Muslim, because it's got a whole sets of hadith regarding the signs of the Day of Judgment. Abu Hurairah radiallahu ta'ala mentioned that the judgment won't come until Rum will come out to fight you in a place called Ad-Dabiq. Dabiq is known to be what we know is the capital city of ISIS. You know the ISIS that came and they made Dabiq the capital city, and they made Dabiq the capital city because they read this hadith. They said, yeah, the coming army will come, and they mentioned Dabiq. Dabiq is a small little town, it's nothing, it's got no real importance. But now they think of this, and they made it their capital city. And he mentions that the hadith goes, the best of people on earth, the people of Medina will fight against them. And when they are lining up for war, the Romans will say, or the people of Rome, the Europeans, or whatever you want to call them, leave us with the group amongst you who have forsaken their religion. Meaning, we don't want to fight you Muslims. You know those people there, that group of you, amongst you, we want to fight them. You want to fight them only. So the Muslim says, we won't leave our brethren and abandon them to you. Meaning they are Muslim brothers, we're not going to leave them. So is this a large group of converts that have left their thinking and their religion and now realizing that Mahdi is here and Isa alayhi salam and Dajjal, and they're coming onto the Muslim side? So that's why they saying it like this? Allah alam, Allah knows best, yeah? I don't know. But are they saying it like this? It could possibly be a large number of converts, and they say, no, give us those people back, we want to deal with them. Allah alam, Allah knows best. And so as the battle rages on, and now you have the Romans and the Muslims, and then a third of the Muslims will flee, they'll run away, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala won't forgive those people, and then a third will be killed, and then these are the best of shuhada, and a third will win, and they won't be tested, whether that's in the akhirah or the grave or something like this. This mention is in Muslim. How this happens, whether it won't be tested, Allah alam, Allah knows best. Then a third will then go on to conquer first on Constantinople, yani Constantinople. They will go on to Constantinople. This is the hadith that's mentioned at the end of times. We know that Constantinople doesn't actually exist as this name. We now know it as Istanbul. So would Istanbul go back towards its old hands again? Allah alam, Allah knows best again. Very confusing. Whether it goes back to the old times, maybe not. And when they're conquering Constantinople again, Then they will divide this ghanima, and after hanging their swords, when they hear the cry of Dajjal coming into your camp back at home, and then the false rumor comes that Dajjal has come back, they rush home, but it's going to be false. And then they reach Syria and they line up for Fajr time. And when they're lining up for Fajr in the Umayyad Masjid, and then the Adhan goes off and they're lining up for Fajr and the Iqamah is given, and then the two angels come down, and on the shoulders of those two angels is Isa alayhi salam, and he will descend. And once he descends onto this place, then the Mahdi will say, come on, go forth and lead the Salah. He goes, no, the Iqamah was not done for me. I am just an ummati of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The Iqamah was done for you. You go lead the people in Salah. And this is where Isa alayhi salam will start to come. And then he goes on into this hadith. He mentions here that the Dajjal, Isa will come down and the battle will ensue between Isa alayhi salam and Dajjal. And Dajjal sees Isa alayhi salam. He sees Isa. This is in Muslim. He will start to melt like salt dissolves in water. Dajjal will look at Isa, not even fight him, just look at him, and then he starts to melt away, just like you have salt dissolving in water. This is the ending of Dajjal. And he says there that if he were to be left in that state, he would die. But Isa alayhi salam will then go to him and then kill him himself, and everyone will see the blood of Dajjal on the sword of Isa alayhi salam. And this hadith has been mentioned at the ending of times. I'll mention these two hadith before we move on. And he mentions here that Abu Dawood mentioned this hadith. He says the fortress of the Muslims on the day of Malhama, on that great day where the great war is happening, will be Ghuta or Ghouta, which is near Damascus, the best place in Bilad al-Sham. And he mentions here these places were in the heartland of the Byzantine area. So while he's making this prediction in this time of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that these are the times where the Byzantine Empire is in charge of Damascus. And he goes, what? Our capital city would be there. How can this even be happening? So people are thinking this is far-fetched. This is way over. This is their empire. How can we go and take over this? Hakim mentioned, Mustadrak al-Hakim mentioned this hadith. He says, when the fitan occur, Iman will be in Bilad al-Sham. Iman will be in Bilad al-Sham. This is where the people of Iman will be. So when Mahdi is here, when Mahdi will come, then the Ummah will be united against the non-Muslims and so forth. And this is how it will happen. I'll leave on this last hadith that what will happen is that this hadith is mentioned that, Abdullah bin Hawala, when you see the Khilafah having been descended to Ard al-Muqaddasa, meaning the blessed cities and the blessed lands in Palestine, then know that the Zalazil and the Fitan are coming and the Qiyamah is closer. Then I am to you and my land and my hand is to you. And he's putting his hand on the person's body. There will be a Khilafah. There will be a Khilafah in the future. According to Minhaj al-Nubuwah, according to the way of the Nubuwah, and there will be a Khilafah where Ard al-Muqaddasa, which is most likely in Palestine. Will there be a Khalifa at that time? Allah knows, but this is something which has been mentioned, and interpretations are of different levels, and people can go interpret it. But this is something to really be studying, and to know that this is going to happen in the future, and this is very important to realize what's going to happen, so a person knows how to try and deal with these things. The fitna of Dajjal will come, Mahdi will come, Isa alayhi salam will come, and all of the wars will be happening, and the Muslims will be fighting Muslims, and then the Ummah will be united underneath Mahdi and fight against the Dajjal and his forces. So this is something to really be, obviously ilm is one thing, but ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, number one, to increase my iman, and to increase the iman of my children and my progeny as well. So if they are involved in it, or I am involved in it, then they are on the side of haqq and not the side of batil. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guidance and for protection from the fitna of Dajjal and all types of fitnas that come in the future. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanallah wa bihamdik, nashhadu an la ilaha illa anta nastaghfiruka wa natubu ilayk. Inshallah, if everyone can go towards the back, inshallah, to the tent, inshallah, the food will be served there now, inshallah, if everyone go.